Hello everybody and welcome to another movie review here on Sell Me a Movie. If you're new to the channel or this program specifically, just to let you know we are here to go ahead and review movies that are either already out on DVD, streaming, newly released in theaters, or even movies that have been around for decades. This is a channel where we do take, of course, your suggestions in mind as well, whether if it's come to making this channel a little bit better, or even a movie that you want me to specifically review and hear my thoughts. Of course, leave your comments down below. I encourage that for every single video that you see. I want to know your guys' opinions on it. So go ahead and do that. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. Follow us on all social platforms and check out the merchandise link that's down below, because all support, no matter how big or how small, it all matters. So today we'll actually be discussing Sam Esmail newly released movie on Netflix called Leave the World Behind.
Hello there, and good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and children.
So if you're not familiar with this movie, don't worry, neither was I. Honestly, I wasn't really familiar about it until, honestly, a lot of the conspiracy theories or suggestions were popping up in my Twitter feed. And yes, this will make a conspiracy theorist's world just blow its mind, only because of the fact that I could understand, and after seeing this movie, there are a lot of sequences in it that does play a lot to that trope. Now, like I said, it is directed by Sam Esmail, who is one of the directors, creators, or even writers, I'm not too entirely sure, from the show Mr. Robot. It does star Julia Roberts, Mahershala Ali, Ethan Hawke, you have Charlie Evans in there, and Kevin Bacon. Now, what this film is about is, of course, Julia Roberts and Ethan Hawke's family go upstate, I believe, in New York. Or actually, no, Long Island, I'm mistaken. They go to Long Island to go on this little vacation that they have, which is a home owned by Mahershala Ali. So that house is owned by him. And, of course, he does have his daughter, Ruth Scott, played by Myhale. I do apologize on the name butchering there, but wonderful actress nonetheless. So if you are familiar with this film, it's probably because of the fact that you heard about it online. Again, going with the conspiracy theorists and theories, only because of the fact that one big one was due to the producers of this film was Barack and Michelle Obama. Yes, the former president and his wife. Now, if you're not familiar with or why they are actually producers of this film, they do own their own company. They own their own film production company. One of the films that they did do on Netflix, other than this, of course, is a film with Kevin Hart, where he plays a single father. One of my favorite movies. It's very touching. Plus, you don't see many movies like that. So, again, that's one of the movies that they've done. This one, I do know that Barack Obama did have his hands kind of tied into the storytelling a little bit, and it's kind of where you get some of those hidden Easter eggs, or I guess call-outs, if you will, specifically because of the boat that's driving into the beach. The name of that boat has a reference towards slavery. Then you do have some of the paintings in the film. Also, the creator of those paintings, I guess, is tied to slavery somehow. I'm not too entirely sure. I didn't dive deep into that. But of course, you do have the fact that on the main poster of this, it says Julia Roberts, Mahershala Ali, Ethan Hawke, and then Myhale. Again, going with the butchering of the name. But one of the main things about this poster is it does spell out Baal. If you're not familiar with Baal, Baal is a demonic deity where back in the I don't know exactly the time period, but they would actually sacrifice babies to. So unfortunately, their name is, whether if it's on purpose or not, it's there. The other thing, too, is the son is wearing a shirt that says Obey, which is directly from the film They Live, which is a John Carpenter's film about how it's programming, all about programming. You have these special glasses that sees you, that you actually see the real world and how they are programming individuals to either obey, to eat unhealthy. Exercise is another one. It's a great classic film. Would highly recommend that. but his sister right next to her has like a Nassau shirt. So theoretically it says obey Nassau. Another conspiracy that's part of this film is if you pay attention in the background, when Julia Roberts and Ethan Hawke first come into the house that they are doing the Airbnb with, you see the eye, which of course, if you know anything about the all-seeing eye, it falls into that trope of the occultism, really, or masonry, and I guess in a way is some form of, let's just stick with what I've already said, the masonry and all that whole trope. So like I said, there's a lot of it in there. What's really weird about this film, though, is when the film did come out, it does talk about how the US did experience a huge EMP release, and an EMP actually did happen, I believe, like 4 or 5 days after this movie came out. The Chinese government did, I'm sorry, it wasn't an EMP, but the Chinese government did tap in to some of the, I think, financial accounts or something like that, as far as the US government goes. So there was some hacking in some way, and that's one of the big things of this movie that now I will get into with all that away. Basically, Julia Roberts, Ethan Hawke, they go to this house up in Long Island. They do an Airbnb, and what ends up happening is this huge EMP happens, and they don't understand what's going on because Mahershala Ali, sorry, I've been saying his name incorrectly, Mahershala Ali, he comes to the house, basically says, my daughter and I were in the city, we had to come home, lost the power, blah, blah, blah. And essentially what you're doing is you're trying to figure out what's going on, because there are subtle hints to no internet connection, no TV. At one point, you have all these Tesla cars just driving by themselves and wrecking them. Essentially, what it's trying to do is trying to avoid anybody trying to get into the city or escape from where they're going to, or I'm sorry, escape from where they're from or where they're staying at. A big thing too is the fact that you'll hear these big supersonic sounds, and it's explained later on, which is actually true, where the government, what they have are they have these weapons that send out these this radiation to the point where the blast is so severe that it causes I guess radiation poisoning, but you can't see it. You can only hear it. So that's one thing that's part of this film. So it's very much a mystery, but also like a thriller in a way, because you don't know what's going on. All these things seem to happen. Very, very much like The Happening, I believe. One of the M. Night Shyamalan movies. So it's very much in that trope and that, I guess, those circumstances. But overall, honestly, what I thought about the film, it had that eeriness to it. But I guess some of these types of movies, especially when it comes to environmental movies, they do kind of scare me a little bit. So I guess this kind of tugged at those feelings. The storyline was very interesting. I was more intrigued about the deer, and that's a big thing too, is when you watch this movie, the main thing that you'll think about is what's up with the deer. And I mean, it's up to interpretation as far as that goes. I mean, you can always look it up online. You'll probably see 1 or 2 examples, but it's mainly there for interpretation. The acting, of course, Julia Roberts, Ethan Hawke, Kevin Bacon, and Mahershala Ali do an amazing job. But as the movie goes, all in general, it's okay. It's not one that I'll be like, ooh, let's watch this again. It was interesting to watch, maybe once or twice, but other than that, though, it was an okay movie. I do understand why it was only in theaters for a select amount of time. It didn't really bring that sense of blockbuster to it. So, but if you guys have seen it, though, again, leave a comment down below. I thought it was okay. Tell me what you guys think, and make sure that you subscribe to the channel, follow us on all social platforms, and we'll see you next time for the next review.